AskReddit. What was life like before smartphones? As a 40-year-old, I lived through payphone, landlines, beepers, flip phones and smartphones. My life was made significantly easier by being a loser. As an over 60, I'll add telegrams and party lines at the head of that list. Calling cards and 1-800 commercials. I'll pay phones. I'm sure others did this also, but if I needed my mom to pick me up, I would call collect, and when the automated machine asked to state your name, would quickly say mom it's me come get me. So mom would hear something along the line of hello. You are receiving a collect call from mom it's me come get me. Do you accept the charges? Mom would say no, and then come over to pick me up. I remember there being a viral commercial that shows this in action. If you wanted to go somewhere, you had to already know how to get there, or consult a paper map, which you kept in your car. If you needed to call somewhere, a store, your bank, the vet, a car repair place, you had to look the number up. This could be on your desktop computer at home, or longer ago than that, in a phone book. If you had a random thought, like when was air conditioning invented, or how far is it to Argentina, or how old is Dick Van Dyke, generally you would just keep wondering. You weren't used to being constantly entertained. On a car trip, or in a waiting room, or in a long line, you would watch other people, think about things, maybe read a book. People were more comfortable from just sitting with their thoughts. People took a lot fewer pictures. If you went on vacation, or had a family event, you would bring a camera and take pictures. Then you would drop the film off at a store and get your pictures a few days later, an hour later. If you wanted to spend a lot, you never knew till you picked them up if the shots were any good, or if someone's eyes were closed or your finger got in the way of the lens. When I was a kid in the 70s, I would write down questions I had, and then look them up in books in the library. I had so much fun doing that. You left your bullies at school, rather than taking them home with you. And if they rode your same school bus, you left them on the bus. I started walking home, because the bullying on the bus was so bad. Until Facebook came out, when in college I always assumed that I would understand kids' struggles perfectly, when I'm older cause, was a kid once too. But the social media changes it completely. I can learn, but never truly identify with many of the struggles of teens today. We read shampoo bottles while pooping. Oh my god yes, but I always made sure I had a book. Even if I had to shit so bad I would grab any random book I didn't care. I refused to enter the bathroom without a book. Edit. I didn't expect this many replies haha. Yes, I also am familiar with the bathroom reader, and Archie comics. In the bathroom I had in my childhood, books were not allowed. Which was why I had to go to my room. I was not allowed to use any other bathroom, but I am aware of the bathroom readers. I'm not very old, only 30, but had my Archie comics on top of the tank for pooping as a youngster. I had to buy a fucking book to beat Pokemon Red. I have so many game guides sitting on my shelf even though they're useless, but I paid like $25 for each of them, and that was a lot of money, and you want me to throw them away. Frame some of the artwork. Okay, but did you find the Mew under the truck? No, but I got the missing no glitch written out on math paper. Lots of library visits to find out answers. Our library had a phone number for research questions. Days seemed to be so much longer. Felt like there was so much more time for things. Life was private. When I saw someone I hadn't seen for a long time, it was genuinely interesting to see how they were doing and the crazy adventure they had been living. Dang, I need to get rid of my smartphone. Life is honestly worse with one. These things are a fucking ball and chain. I think life felt more special, with things not so easily accessible. You appreciated them so much more. Remember scanning the TV guide to see your favorite movie was going to be playing on Thursday, and then clearing your schedule and plunking in front of the TV, the only TV, in the living room with your whole family. Or your favorite song coming on the radio hoping soon you'll have the cash to buy the CD. Or using a tape deck pressed to another tape deck to record it, and how precious it was to have music on demand. There was so much time and space and energy to pursue things. The definition of bored was different. We couldn't just feed ourselves cheap Instagram or TikTok crap to pass the time. We found real stuff to do that actually enriched our lives. I really feel like smartphones and the internet erased the highs because of instant gratification. Less stressful. No answering phone calls if not at home. Not feeling like you have to reply to text messages within 5 minutes. Leave a message on answer phone, or note in letterbox. 2024, it's quite exhausting, LOL. Here's my policy. My phone is for my convenience, not for someone else's. If I don't want to reply in a timely manner, or at all, then I don't. And Landers and Dear Abby addressed this long before cell phones. The phone is there for your convenience, not the caller's. You are under no obligation to answer it. Source: AM old, and used to. 2. Count them. 1. 2 spaces after a period. Now about that law. Didn't have access to see what horrible thing was happening everywhere in the world. It's exhausting seeing people blown up, hurt, starving, abused from every corner of the globe right on your phone. It's not a burden we were designed to have, and I think it's why younger people are so downtrodden and have no hope. You can't see pain from the whole world every day and not feel beaten down. This is why I had to mute some subreddits for my own mental health. There's a fine line between being aware of what's going on and seeing actual war crimes on a daily basis. Reading about Rump and his cult on the daily here on my own city's FB page is bad enough. You played Snake on your Nokia phone, and you loved it. Or a TXX graphing calculator, for us old heads, who did school before mobile phones. It was simpler, people were more present in the moment, and less distracted by constant notifications and screen. Before smartphones I used books to help me ignore people. The iPhone came out the year before I graduated HS and, honestly, before everyone had a camera in their pocket, everyone was excited to be on camera. Just check out any nostalgia videos of high schools in the 2000s, and you'll see, we were all stoked to be on camera. We didn't fuss about what we looked like beforehand, we just hopped in. I remember being excited to get home, and hop on my PC to message my friends on AIM, and thinking to myself, wouldn't this be so cool, if I could do it from my phone? Of course texting was a thing, and there was an AIM to phone method. But texting sucked because of the number pads, and it cost money per text. Honestly, I was always obsessed with the newest tech thing back then. Now I'm not. Technology has stagnated, especially in the phone realm. Everything looks like the same candy bar. I miss those days. Phones also no longer solely serve us. They have tools for mega corporations and social engineers to use against us. A good tool should be able to be sat down, and not live in your brain, and be useful only for the tool user. Are we talking life before smartphones, or life before the internet? A lot of the comments seem to be answering the latter. Life in that 2000 to 2010 window, where a lot of us had internet, but not a smartphone, wasn't all that much differently, honestly, more preparation. If you wanted navigation in your car, you got on a computer and printed out directions, or you got a special device for your car like a Gommi. Much less texting and more emailing, live chatting, because a lot of us still had limits on how many texts you could send, and how many characters they could be. I became a very fast typist, largely because of chatting on AOL to my friends. To check social media, or Google random questions, you waited until you had computer access. This would either be at home or at the library, student center, internet cafe, something like that. There was still a mix of relying on print sources, like phone books and newspapers. Some people had switched to everything online, and some hadn't. It was more common for a business not to have a web presence. Ordering online was still relatively new, and you could still fill out the little form in the catalogue, and order by mail. I think my family switched over to online shopping around 2005-ish. It honestly wasn't that different, just more tethered to home, wherever you could find a computer. Resources were a bit more scattered. I liked it, and as much as I do enjoy my smartphone now, I wouldn't mind going back to that era. It felt like a good balance of having information available, without always being in your face. That said, having smartphones be so powerful and so inexpensive has transformed the way billions of people in developing countries can access education and the global economy, so I wouldn't really want to go back in time. Great answer. Thank you. Reading this, I thought about how my relationships have changed with the constant text-based conversations. I feel like I'm in a lot of remote relationships, where we're communicating but in a limited way. The relationship or communication isn't satisfying. So for that reason, I would also like to go back to the former way, where to be with someone you actually visited with them. I miss that. People were friendlier, folks just talked more. And personally, I read a lot more books back then. I started college in 2002, dropped out after a few years, and went back to finish my degree in 2012. During those 10 years, cell phones and iPods became ubiquitous, and I noticed that none of the students just hung out and talked and joked around together anymore. They all had their earbuds in. They were all on their phones talking to their existing friends, or on social media. They weren't looking to build community. It was really lonely by comparison to before smartphones, where you were kinda forced to make friends, be social, and actually have a good time together IRL. Much more peaceful, no compulsion to check social media. Bullying from schoolmates stopped when you entered your home. The flip side, however, we got stuck more than once in a dead car, and had walk a long way to get help. Phones were charged per minute, and elderly relatives were reluctant to use them for that reason. I missed my grandfather's passing, because it took a while to get in touch with me, when he was rushed to the hospital. My eldest kid was born in 2002, right on the brink of cell phones becoming universal. I needed to call my parents to tell them that he was 1 day earlier than expected, and I forgot to get an international calling card, and 2, we had some complications. But not to worry. Cell phones were around, but not common yet. All I owned was this silly pager thing you could text on. Options: have someone run out and buy me a card, or text a friend who could call them. I ended up texting my friend in England, who gave my parents the number to the hospital room, who then called us. Weird times. 2 things that stood out to me, that I haven't seen mentioned. 1. Teens would just roam small towns in packs during the summer, or after school. We didn't have phones, and usually other teens were out as well, so you couldn't reach them at home. You just wandered with friends, seeing who you might bump into. And that would dictate your activity for the day. Every few days, you'd sit around with friends and trade stories about what went on. Oh, Tuesday was crazy. Jennifer's parents were gone, and we had a pool party at her place, and people kept showing up. Oh yeah, we built a skate park behind the offices, and learned how to ride the stairs that day. Cool. We had a hockey tournament in the abandoned bank parking lot. 2. Magazines. So many magazines. You had to read something. And there was no mobile internet yet. As a kid, I would go with my mom to the library, and we would take out like 100 magazines a month, and just devour them. You'd look up your crush's phone number in the phone book and start calling it and hanging up when she answers. Then she *69s you and you are doomed. When your mom answers,